Well, a very good evening to you and welcome to the broadcast tonight, the 21st day of January 2025, right here at Hope TV. A lot more has been happening right here in the country and beyond the borders. Tonight we shall also be having a conversation with regards to the clinical officers who are on strike. Remember, this is their second day. We'll just want to understand what is the cause of their strike, what are some of their concerns, and what are some of the efforts that are being put forth by the government to address such concerns. My name is Sammy Adika, and our sign language interpreter tonight is Boniface Mureithi. Beginning us off from Western Kenya, in his third day tour in the Western region, President William Ruto yet again told of online critics, stating that his efforts to build Kenya will not be sabotaged by them. The head of state took the chance to support the new health scheme, SHA, terming it as a better option that will ensure every Kenyan has access to quality health care despite their level of income. In the company of his cabinet secretaries and governors, Ruto highlighted the progress of projects initiated by his government, further promising to deliver as expected.
Mimi nawauliza nyinyi wangwana wa hapa Shinyalu, si tulifanya mkutano hapa? Nikawaambia nitatengeneza bima mpya ambayo haibagui mtu mwenye ana kazi na yule ako na kazi, mtu mwenye ako na uwezo na yule hamna uwezo. Wote wataenda hospitalini, watatibiwa, wataenda nyumbani, na serikali ya Kenya itasimamia mambo ya malipo kupitia kwa bima ya afya. Ninyi watu wa Shinyalu tunaelewana? Sasa ile kazi imebaki wewe mtu ya Shinyalu, ni wewe kujisajili, kujiandikisha. Mumejiandikisha kwa SHA ama bado mnangojea? Mmejiandikisha? Hebu nione wala wamejiandikisha, nione kwa mkono. Leo nimekuja hapa kuanzisha mradi ya kuunganisha stima watu 35,000 hapa Kakamega County. Serikali ya Kenya tumetoa pesa shilingi bilioni 2.9 ya kuunganisha stima ya watu wa hapa Kakamega County, na hiyo kazi imeanza tayari. Waulile, munanielewa? Na hiyo kazi, nyinyi watu wa Shinyalu, hii Shinyalu hii tutaunganisha watu wa Shinyalu 2,500 kwa huduma ya stima.
Mheshimiwa Rais amesema hii umoja wa taifa anatafuta ili tulete maendeleo kwa wananchi. Tujenge barabara, tuweke stima, tuweke madawa kwa hospitali, mwananchi wa kawaida apate huduma. Mnakubaliana na Rais? Mtaendelea kumunga mkono? Mtaendelea kuunga mkono serikali? Wangapi wanasema tuendelee namna hiyo? Asante sana.
Now, away from that, Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of Performance and Delivery Management in the Executive Office of the President, Eliud Owalo, has launched an exercise to evaluate the performance of Kenya Wildlife Service (KWS) for the financial year 2023-2024. Owalo says the evaluation follows the performance agreement that KWS signed for the period of the year 2023-2024, which seeks to provide solutions to the human-animal conflicts, avoid risks that tourists encounter, boost conservation awareness, establish climate change resilience for animals, ability to combat poaching, among others.
In line with your 2023-2024 financial year annual work plan, you did enter into a contract with government, committing yourselves to certain minimum levels of performance, both quantitatively and qualitatively. Within that performance contract, which is aligned to your overall strategic plan, the strategic objectives that you intended to pursue over that activity period include reversing and stabilizing the declining trend across wildlife populations and resilient ecosystems, strengthening enforcement capacity, enhancing internal business processes, and excellence in service delivery, that is business process engineering, strengthening relationship with stakeholders and partners, enhancing the institutional capacity, and also enhancing financial sustainability. And in line with that, you committed to provide leadership in conservation, enhance partnership with the stakeholders, and also develop the relevant mechanisms that would facilitate financial sustainability. Arising from that, good people, in line with your core mandate, you did commit to enhance response to human-wildlife conflict, to mitigate human-wildlife conflict, enhance response to wildlife and visitor security threats, undertake conservation education awareness, develop and maintain the Kenya Signature Parks initiatives, develop and maintain adventure, wilderness and edutainment initiatives, and then develop marine park initiatives and enhance climate change resilience for wildlife and rehabilitate housing units, as well as develop.
Now heading to Laikipia County, property of unknown value was destroyed and tens of families left homeless after a fierce fire razed down rental houses at the sprawling Manguo slums in the outskirts of Nyahururu town in Laikipia County on Monday night. Now it was reported that the fire started at around 7:30 p.m. from one of the timber houses before spreading to nearby houses. Now efforts to contain the fire by the Nyahururu firefighting engine were fruitless, as it was reported that it had no water, forcing residents to chase the personnel away.
Sisi tulikuwa kwa nyumba tukasikia duru. Mimi kutoka nikaona moto. Nikapiga duru, watu wakatoka. Sasa kutoka tukaona watu wanajaribu kupima hiyo moto. Ikashida watu. Sasa watu wakaanza kukuja kutoa vitu kwa hii ploti yetu kabla moto ikuje kwa ploti yetu. Watu wakatoa vitu mpaka moto sasa wakaona moto itawashoma wakatoka. Sasa watu wengi hawakutoa vitu. Hata wengine hawatujui tutana.
Nilikuwa pale kwa barabara. Sasa ile nimesikia duru, nikaanza kukuja. Nikakimbia, nikaona ilikuwa ndani kwa chomeka, nikakuja kufika hapa nikaona ni kwa huyu mzee anakuwa nyuma yetu. Sasa ile nimeona huyu mzee anakuwa moto, nikaona zimezidi. Sasa kufika kwa nyumba ndivyo nikakuta sasa kutoa vitu, nikaanza kutoa vitu, nikaona hata ziwe sasa moto sasa imekuwa kubwa sana. Sasa nikaona hata sasa inasinga tu nikiteremeka. Hakuna kitu nimetoa, nguo hakuna, nimekaa hivyo. Tungependa tusaidiwe na sasa kila kitu tuna hata ni kwanza pale pa kukaa, pale pa kukaa, pale ya kukula hivyo. Kuita anything.
Sasa mimi vile nimesikia moto iko hapa, mimi nilikuwa huko Manguo nikitoka kazi. Sasa ile hali ya kukimbia nikakuja. Kukuja gari, mimi nakuja hivi, gari nakuja hivi. Sasa gari time imefika hapa, Gari kufika imefika, lakini hakuna usaidizi imesaidia. Juu sasa bado imefika, imepiga tu kuije, vitu za watu zimechomekea huko. Mimi nimesaidia kutoa vitu, tumesaidia hapa.
To Bungoma Boys, or rather Bungoma, Teremi Boys High School in Kabuchai, Bungoma County has been closed indefinitely after the students protested on Monday night, demanding the head teacher of the school, Elfas Aliva, be transferred immediately. The students are alleging the principal has failed to run the institution as required after 36 students scored wise in the 2024 KCSE exams. The County Director of Education, Ken Onduru, ordered for the immediate closure of the institution to allow proper investigations.
It is unfortunate that on this end, around 1 year ago, last year in fact, we noted with a lot of concern that there is some kind of indiscipline specifically coming from our boys, whom we have a lot of hope in the sub-county, in Bungoma, and in Kenya. The behavior which has emerged from this institution, an institution of hope, which is the top criminal in the country in Kenya, is unfortunate. As your partner, I plead with you that you change it.
We are aware last night was not a very good night, going by the skirmishes that we've seen and the damages that we've seen also. And I wanted a concurrence from you that we are just from home the other day, Cindy, just about a week or so old. And whatever has happened is not very good. I've walked to the principal's house and I'm very sympathetic with what happened. That even those who did that, God also sees what is happening.
Kwa hii compound, mimi nitapeana accommodation na chakula na tukae na wewe. Tumeadili? Yangu ni yangu.
Have welcomed President William Ruto's proposal to allow farmers plant crops in some part of Mount Elgon Forest. The residents have voted to conserve the forest once they are allowed to cultivate crops, further urging the government to supply them with quality seedlings. Now, they say the move will help reduce frequent land disputes witnessed in the area, disrupting their daily livelihoods, further urging others to remain peaceful even as the government continue, rather the committee that will facilitate the exercise is being formed as promised by President William Ruto.
Na kama sisi wananchi tungeomba serikali yetu, kwa sababu tuko na uhaba wa miti, ikaweze kutuletea hiyo miti tupande ili mazingira yetu ikawe mazuri. Tukiwa na hiyo miche tutafanya vizuri, na tunashukuru kwa sababu rais wetu alikuja huku pamoja na mheshimiwa wetu mbunge, anajua hii area venye inakaa. Kwa kupitia kwake tunajua kila kitu kinaenda kutumishwa. Na wananchi wa Mount Elgon tunawaomba mkae kwa amani na mpendane, kwa maana pasipo upendo hakuna mahali mtaenda. Na tunashukuru kwa yote ambayo mheshimiwa wetu rais alisema, na tunamshukuru na akatende, nasi tutashukuru na tutaendelea kwa pamoja.
Na mizozo ambayo tuko nayo kwa ajili ya mashamba, najua president wetu wakati amefika hapa, hiyo tutapata suluhisho. Nasi kama wananchi nataka niwaombe, vile mmesikia ya kwamba president ametoa amri ya kwamba mtu aliyekuwa na sehemu yake atairudia na akalime, na waomba kama wananchi, wacha tutumisha amani, na ile sehemu ambayo ulipewa, ikiwa utatolewa mahali pale uwekwe kwingine, tafadhali tusiwe na mizozo kati yetu, turidhike na tufuate masharti ambayo tumepewa. Kitu ya pili nataka niwaombe, wamesema ya kwamba tutunze mazingira yetu, na forest tunajua kitu cha muhimu ni miti.
Mimi nashukuru shirika ya Kareo Mpya. Nashukuru shirika ya Kareo Mpya kwa mkutano ya leo kuhamasisha vijana na wamama kuhusu maneno ya amani na maneno ya mazingira. Mimi nashukuru kwa speech ya rais kupitia kwa MP yetu Mount Elgon kutuombea nafasi ya forest kwa upande ya ulimaji wa kutengeneza forest na kupanda miti. Ninaomba wakaaji wa eneo ya Mount Elgon hasa Cheptei sub-county wadumisha amani yenye iko inaendelea saa hii, na hata wakati watapewa hiyo portion uridhike na ile kidogo utapata, na wakishe umezingatia mazingira upandaji wa miti, alafu kila mtu aheshimu jirani.
Now, beyond the borders, Kenya police deployed to Haiti have restored order in several towns in the troubled Caribbean nation. Now, this is according to President William Ruto, who says the team has intensified patrols in major cities to contain crime in general. Now, there are 600 Kenya police officers in Haiti, and 200 of them are meant to join them on January 26th. With Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen stating that the Multinational Security Support Mission MSS team and those from Haiti National Police Service have jointly accelerated efforts to promote a more secure environment.
Locals are with us. The community here are very encouraging. They are very good people. They have served us with information so much. When we meet the members of the public, we greet them. They are very happy with us. And they started to talk with us. In everything that we do, we put God first. We put God first because also us, we believe in God. And God is going to make everything, every move that we make to be successful.
Now, the US President Donald Trump has signed the executive orders which targeting the US government foreign relations and aid after he took the oath of office as the 47th President of the United States of America. One of the notable orders that Donald Trump signed was the pausing of all foreign aid by the US government shared by the White House for 90 days. Now, former US President Joe Biden, together with President William Ruto, signed several agreements which may now be affected following the signing of the executive orders. Kenya is among the countries that benefit from aid programs initiated by the US through the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, in which it was to invest 4.1 billion Kenya shillings in the country.
WHO continues to be concerned about the increasing trends in Africa, Eastern Europe, Latin America, and some Asian countries. I continue to call for the world to come together in solidarity and national unity to confront this pandemic, but also to prevent the next one and to build a healthier, safer, fairer world for everyone, everywhere. But I repeat, national unity is the foundation for global solidarity. Solidarity, solidarity, solidarity. That's what we will say every single day. This virus will not be defeated if we're not united. If we're not united, the virus will exploit the cracks between us and continue to create havoc.
Well, we shall be taking a short commercial break, but in a couple of minutes from now, we'll be back with Austin Oduor Otieno, the National General Deputy Secretary for Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, who will be helping us understand why the clinical officers are on strike and some of their demands, together with proposals on how they want the government to address their concerns. Don't go too far.
Rafiki so is a promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond watangaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful, ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful, ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki soul is a promise of a hand that reaches and goes beyond watangaza tumaini kote. I'm forever grateful, ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. I'm forever grateful, ninashukuru ukarimu, ukarimu. Rafiki msoul.
Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive.
Thank you for tuning in to Hope TV, your go-to channel for hope, inspiration, education, and wholesome entertainment. At Hope TV, we are committed to knowing God and making Him known through powerful media content. We truly value you and are dedicated to serving you better. For feedback, inquiries, or complaints, reach out via WhatsApp or SMS on 0708222323. Email us at customerexperience@hopefm.org. Hope TV, look and live.
In a world where men often walk alone, who do they turn to for answers? Being male is a matter of birth, but being a man is a matter of choice. This is the dawn of something phenomenal. Fathers, sons, brothers, from the daily grind to the battles within, this is where real stories are told. A place where the silent struggles are given a voice, where the unspoken truths are laid bare. No holds barred. Coming to Hope TV, Hope FM, and online platforms. Premiering on 7th February 2025, every Friday, 7 to 8 p.m.
Facilitated by Reverend Jesse Moy. Hosted by George Gishiru and Henry Mutavi.
Let me also say this maybe to men. Yeah. Women are great money managers. They're actually better than men.
Yeah. I should not let my wife know how much I bring.
It affects our relationships big time just because we are not open.
Those things are killing men.
Brace yourself. This is Men on Record. It's more than just talk. It's a man thing.
Now welcome back to the broadcast. Remember, this is Hope TV. Do get in touch with us through our socials at Hope TV Kenya and at Sammy Adika. Now joining us tonight is Austin Oduor Otieno. That is Dr. Austin Oduor Otieno. Many thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for inviting me to this beautiful show.
Yes, now we do understand you are the National Deputy General Secretary of KUKO and also the President of GACOPA.
Yes.
Maybe tell us a little bit more about GACOPA.
Now, GACOPA is an international association that brings the clinical officers and physician associates and other names under one. It was formed to bring us together so that we have one common name, one common curriculum, and we share that what we need like other cadres.
Interesting.
Yes.
Now we do understand that clinical officers in the country went on strike on 20th. I believe that was yesterday.
Yes, we started our strike on Monday.
Monday.
On 19th. The midnight.
Sunday night.
Yes, the midnight of 19th on Sunday night. And we all know the reasons why we are on strike. Two major reasons.
Yes.
One is the Social Health Authority.
Yes.
And the second one is implementation of the return to work formula, which was reached between us, the union, and the Council of Governors, representing the 47 counties, and the national government, which is the Ministry of Health. So that return to work formula has been breached, and that is why we decided to engage the government by calling for this nationwide strike.
Let's begin with SHA, which is a new scheme.
Yes.
Help us understand what is the bone of contention between clinical officers and the SHA board.
Yeah, the bone of contention is a violation of the law. And when I talk of violation of the law is very clear that clinical officers clinical officers are independent, and they have their own independent body that regulate their training, practice, and they also license. So that regulatory body is called the Clinical Officers Council of Kenya, and it is under Act 20 of 2017, which was repealed.
Yes.
It has been repealed several times. It was brought into action. It was brought, the first time it was brought was in 1988. So this is the body that regulates the training of clinical officers.
Yes.
And it's also very clear in the law, if you read it together with the Health Act, that the clinics or the medical facilities that are owned by clinical officers registered under the Clinical Officers Council should be empaneled by the SHA and formerly NHIF. NHIF was doing that.
Yes.
And that these clinical officers, who are also licensed by the Clinical Officers Council, who are specialists, even those who are not specialists, should do pre-authorization. And that pre-authorization still under the Clinical Officers Council. So they should do the pre-authorization, and SHA should admit that or should accept that.
Yes.
So these are things that when a circular was brought, there is a circular that that SHA and together with the ministry, I think they were testing waters.
Yes.
And if we didn't act, it would have just gone that way. And that circular stated that it's only Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Council that are allowed to empanel health facilities and also for pre-authorization, their medical doctors or the people that are under them are the only ones allowed to do pre-authorization. So when we realized that this was against the law, it was like they were plotting something against us, then we have a union. So that's when the union, together with its members, and we have a union, we have an association, and we also have the council. We took up this, and that's where we are up to now.
Now, help us understand, through this circular, have they established why they wanted not to, they don't want to empanel clinical officers and their facilities?
Through the circular, you see decisions are made at Afya House.
Yes.
And Afya House, 80% are medical doctors. So they fear that now clinical officers are waking up. You have clinical officers who are doing, actually, as we speak now, 90% of patients in Kenya are seen by clinical officers, spread across the counties and spread across the county. And even these specialized services, if you look at these county governments, the specialized services are offered by clinical officers. So I don't know the fear, or I don't know what necessitated this action, but as to us, we call it like there are cartels there who really want to make sure that clinical officers don't have their voice and don't have that say.
Yes.
So those are the things that I think if we didn't have a union, it will end up very badly for us as clinical officers.
Interesting. You know, on 14th, you had a presser.
Yes.
The Kuko had a presser. now just saying they had less than 7 days before the lapse of their 14 days strike notice. They highlighted, actually you guys highlighted existence of a cartel, and you've repeated the same thing. Previously we had Mutahi Kagwe, who was the CS during President Uhuru Kenyatta regime, talk about cartels in the at MOH,
Yes.
Ministry of Health. Right now still under Shah there are such issues. Actually on 14th of January you guys highlighted specifically that there are cartels.
Yes.
And you know them.
Yes.
Can you, like, is it a group of people, and is the government really aware of such, and are they working towards eliminating them?
The government is aware because all the CSS that have passed, that have been there even since devolution, have always been talking about cartels. It's only that Mutahi Kagwe found it unbearable and openly said that there are cartels at the Ministry of Health. There are cartels at the Ministry of Health. When you talk of Shah is part of Ministry of Health. There are also cartels there. And these cartels are well known. Some of them have been in this ministry for so long. So we know them. We might not openly say who this, because we also fear that the legality that will follow, but they are there. And if this strike, if they will have not, if they continued, or if this strike will continue, then some of us will be forced to name these cartels because we know them and they are there, and the ones who are sabotaging the president.
Yes.
Yes.
Now talk about return to work formula that has been breached by the government. What are some of the agreements within the return to work formula that you had and you feel the government is actually not acting upon them?
Yeah, this return to work formula, I want to state that we are a union that went for more than 100 days strike. And when we strike alone, the effect is felt. Just like right now we are on strike, and the whole country is paralyzed. In spite of some small, like level 6, you might find level 6, Kenyatta, some big hospitals, you'll find there some services. But majority of the services in our counties and most of the hospitals are paralyzed, all theaters are closed. And when we went on strike for 100 days, we reached an agreement with the government. And when I talk with the governments, and that is the Council of Governors representing the 47 counties and the national government. And one of the reasons, one of the things that we agreed on that made us call off the strike, and that return to work formula was registered in court, because we went on strike through a court order. It is the court that said that CBA should have been completed by certain time. Remember, a CBA cycle is 4 years. And right now we are doing the 7th year, meaning we are already on the 2nd cycle and we don't even have a CBA. So the court ordered that the CBA should be in place in 90 days and a lot of things. So when that was not happening, and you remember even that time the cabinet secretary and the union reached an agreement, and 15,000 was approved when President Uhuru was in the government at that time, but then that was thrown under the bus. So when we went on strike, most of the county governments went to court. And the court was on our side. The court did not say that the strike was illegal. We continued with the strike until such a time that the Council of Governors, through the county governments and the Ministry of Health, we reached an agreement in court. So this was an agreement, a return to work formula that was orchestrated by the court, not by us. So the court ordered that by September 1st, all promotions and redesignation should have been done in all the county governments and at the national government. That was the first thing that the court, that return to work formula contained. The other thing was the issue of CBA, that within 90 days from that time, July last year, we should have been done with the CBA. If you count those 90 days, we are now we are now past the 90 days.
Yes.
We have done another 90 days. We've also done another 90 days on top of the 90 days that were given.
Yes.
But all this time we were just keeping silent. We were giving the government and the county governments time. And these are the things like comprehensive medical cover.
Yes.
That all counties should have a comprehensive medical cover. We realize that as we are treating patients, and the drugs that we even issue, we cannot afford.
Yes.
We only have this NHIF or SHA that we, as we're offering services that us personally we cannot manage.
Yes.
So there is discrimination because you find a group of people having the comprehensive medical cover, but majority of our members don't have. So that was one of the things that the court agreed. And of course, these are the things like hiring of more clinical officers. And the other thing was the UHC.
Yes.
These UHC people, it had already been agreed that they be converted to permanent and pensionable. But there is this tug of war between the county governments and the national government. They don't want to convert them to P&P. The money was available. And they are continuing. You cannot put someone on a contract for more than 3 years. These people are doing almost 7 or 8 years, and it is very much unfair. And they're earning even less than what their counterparts in the national government and the county governments earn. So those things are things that we agreed on in the return to work formula. So when we saw that this return to work formula is not being implemented, then we wrote to the Ministry of Health, we wrote to the Council of Governors, to the county government. We told them that we need engagement so that we finalize on these issues. And as usual, the government will not respond because there are more pressing issues than our issues.
Yes.
And it is very fair. It is in the Labor Relations Act and it's in the Constitution that we are allowed to we can picket, we can strike if no action has been taken.
Interesting. Yeah. Now we do understand that today has been your second day, per se. And yesterday we did see, on Monday that is, we did see Governor Mudomi Njoki, who is the chair of Health Committee under the COG, Council of Governors, and he was actually asking clinical officers to consider going back to work, as some of the demands you guys are making have been addressed, or rather they have started addressing some of them. Do you think there is commitment from the side of both governments, both national and county governments, to address your concerns?
As we speak now, the main issue, the reason why we are still out here, is the issue of SHA and the issue of the CBA. And of course, promotion and resignation, it cuts across. Some counties have done their promotions, some have not done. As we speak now, Vihiga is doing their 32nd day of a separate strike. Vihiga County. They are doing that 32nd day, and I can even confidently say that today's court order has shown that the government should always honor what the agreement that people do. So the court has just given a stay order that no disciplinary action should be taken to the Vihiga County clinical officers who are on strike. They are on a protected strike. So the strike is legal. So we are just urging the governor of Vihiga, Wilbur Tichilo, to just surrender and agree and do that thing that is necessary, promotion and redesignation. I was there in Vihiga. But now coming back to what is happening right now, for the first time we've seen some response from the Council of Governors, unlike the previous councils. The last council that we had under Anne Waiguru, you could not even, we never even met Anne Waiguru in the entire
2 years.
Entire 2 years that I think she did 4. Two. So she was ruthless. You've even seen what she's doing in Kirinyaga. People have been out of work for the last 6 years. I don't know, she's just okay with that, despite several court orders that those guys to be reinstated. So we've never had any engagement with Anne Waiguru, but this time at least, when we issued that strike notice, the Council of Governors invited us. And you saw we visited the Council of Governors offices. We held an engagement, and they also brought in SHA and the Ministry of Health. And they also looked at it, the law, because they are the most affected. When you realize that SHA will not empanel facilities owned by clinical officers, and the clinical officers who are specialists then cannot do a pre-authorization, then we are trying to say that 90% of people seeking services at the county level will not be seen.
Yes.
The clinical officers who are in private practice supplement what is there at the counties. Not everybody will go to the county hospitals managed by the county. So we are trying to tell them that 80% of those private facilities, 80% of the private facilities in Homa Bay, in Siaya, in Kirinyaga, in Laikipia, those facilities will turn back the patients.
Yes.
Because a patient will only use SHA. The president knows that. It's only SHA because he's trying to say that everybody should be having SHA. So a patient will not pay cash, yet this patient has got a cover under the form of SHA. Then it seems this patient, the only option is to move to town or go to Nairobi or look for a facility that is registered by Kenya Medical Practitioner Dentist Council. So that will have been the effect that will have come out of that. But then now the Council of Governors has brought us, and we are there. We are at 80%. We are having some agreement, and hopefully we will have hopefully this strike might be suspended if the government, that is the Ministry of Health and the Council of Governors, honor what they've stated in the papers there.
Interesting.
Yes.
Now, talking about the magnitude of this strike, of the clinical officers' strike, you've talked about patients seeking help in level 1, 2, 3 will not be able to access help. That is if you guys are on strike and also not empaneled. What does it mean? Does it mean that within the level 1, 2 and 3 we only have clinical officers attending to patients?
Yes, level 1, 2, 3 and to some extent level 4, so the clinical officers and nurses. Yes, and you'll rarely find the other colors like medical officers.
Yes.
It's the clinical officers. That's why we are saying confidently that 90% of patients seeking services in the Republic of Kenya are seen by clinical officers, followed by nurses, then medical doctors. So that alone, not in Kenya only. You go to Zambia, you go to Zimbabwe, you go to Malawi, you go to all these countries that we exist in, the 70 countries that I told you that we exist in, the clinical officers are the front line health workers. And of course, the bone of contention in the CBA should have been completed, is the risk allowance.
Yes.
The risk allowance. If we are the front line health workers, we are the first person who will notice this patient has got Marburg syndrome. We are the first person who will know this one has got COVID. If there is an outbreak of a strange disease, the first people who will be wiped out are the clinical officers. But then why do you give us a risk allowance of 3,000 while other people get 15,000, some get 4, some get which amount? So that does not, it doesn't add up. And that is why we were awarded 15,000 risk allowance, something that didn't materialize despite the agreement. Yes.
Away from risk allowance, there's something you talked about, comprehensive cover. You are attending to patients, actually offering them better services of which yourselves cannot afford. Is SHA working from where you sit?
From where I sit, SHA is not working.
You have handled...
You have not used it. I've asked 3 or 4 patients if SHA is working. SHA does not work. But if you ask the people who are working at SHA, they say SHA is working. So I don't know, but there is a problem with this.
What do you think is the problem? Is it the system itself? Is it that Kenyans don't really understand it?
The problem was leaving out clinical officers. That was the problem, leaving out clinical officers. Now that they want to bring us back, I think you will see some improvement a bit. Because if you leave us, the people who see 90% of patients, you leave them out, then who are you going to see? Which patients will be the patients that have SHA? So where will they be going? Who will be seeing them? So it seems they'll not be treated. And then the system, the way the system is put, the way the system was put, it was being unfair. And do you know that 70% of level 1, 2, 3, 4 level 1, 2, 3 facilities, private facilities, private facilities, level 1, 2, 3, 70% are owned by clinical officers. 70% are owned by clinical officers, meaning the whole country, those 70% of the private facilities at the primary level will not function using SHA. They might be using other insurance companies or insurance covers, or these patients will be paying cash. And if they're not paying cash, then they will have to use SHA in government facilities. And the same government facilities where they're going to use SHA, 90% of the people will be who are there are clinical officers. So it seems they will have to look for a medical officer. Like, if I give you an example, in Meru, they'll have to look for a medical. If it is in Njambene or it is in Maua, they'll have to look for a medical officer in Meru town to go to Maua and see that patient. Then that medical officer will go back.
So definitely that becomes expensive.
Yes, and it could not work. Yes.
Oh, we also did have, or rather witnessed, 2 women go to the Ministry of Health's offices just shortly after the CS Barasa finished press conference, or rather press address, and they were complaining, we've been sent to Kenyatta, none of us is accessing services. Is it that at level 1, 2, 3 they can't access services using SHA?
They say, of course, I think they were saying that the systems were down, but SHA itself, there is that regulation that you have to start from level 1 or 2. That it is level 1, 2, 3 that will now take you to level 5, 6, that you cannot just walk to Kenyatta National Hospital and seek services if you have maybe some general complaints, that you have to go to level 1. But then level 1 is where clinical officers are. So how will we do referral to Kenyatta and we can't see this patient? SHA has locked us out. We can't see this patient. So we will tell the patient that it's not working for us. So the some of these patients will flock Kenyatta National Hospital and they will demand to be seen. So that is where the problem is. And of course, coupled with the issue of the system error and the negativity that people have with the SHA, then you expect such commotion that was witnessed when the CS was addressing the media. Of course, addressing the media and avoiding to put things straight, that this thing is not working because of the clinical officers who have been left out.
Interesting.
Yes.
Now, since 2013, we've had county governments handle the medical docket, health docket per se. But during your press address, we heard you say there has been so many strikes since 2013, the inception of devolution till date. So many strikes. Is it that county governments don't have the capacity to single-handedly handle the health docket, or do we really need to rethink the entire idea of reverting it back to the national government?
To me, my opinion will be that we form a commission, the Health Service Commission, that will deal with the issues of human resource. It's a really big problem to the county governments. And if you look at the way even the money is, the county governors are complaining about money. Yesterday, I saw a clip where the current chair of the health committee, that's the governor of Tharaka Nithi, His Excellency Mudomi Njuki,
yes,
saying that the money that remains at Afya House is too much that cannot be compared to what is taken back to the county governments. So this is the era where there are the issues of salaries. Salaries delay, no promotion, a lot of things that are happening in the healthcare and with the human resource that you remember even there are some counties that have not paid salaries for 3 months and you expect these people to offer quality services. So if we can have a central or a unified way of dealing with the human resource for health, or even if it is reverting it back to the national government, that will work. Because with the kind of system that we have, it will be very hard to stop the strikes. They'll continue because this was a nationwide strike. The one that is happening in Vihiga started earlier. After this, if at all we suspend our strike, Of course, we will not strike forever. We'll have to suspend, we'll have to agree. If at all we suspend our strike, another county, another strike will be called in another county, county X, county Y. So this is a challenge that really needs to be addressed. And they have formed a lot of committees. There is the Presidential Task Force on Human Resource for Health. That one, again, I'm told, cartels have already infiltrated it. You don't know the outcome. There are a lot of things. Even today, I've seen the cabinet meeting. They are trying to merge regulatory. They are trying to merge those parastatals. They had even put our council as a parastatal. Now they're saying they're going to deny them money. So there are a lot of things that are happening in health that we really ask the president to intervene and take health as one of his key pillars, as a priority. Yes.
Now you're talking of clinical officers being at the front line. Now we do have the issues to do with the Marburg virus. We also have monkeypox, and all these are a threat to Kenya specifically. Now, do you think we have the capacity to handle such, considering that most of you guys are on strike? In case such a thing comes, does Kenya have the capacity to handle? Do we have enough clinical officers trained to handle such cases?
I want to say that clinical officers, we have specialists, and I'm a specialist in dermatology and venerology, and monkeypox falls under my speciality.
Yes.
But again, we were not involved when we were dealing with this monkeypox, but because the monkeypox virus, we are found in the counties, and some of us are even at the highest level of healthcare, the level 5, level 6. But to realize again that they'll find their ways of handling that. It might not reach you down there, and we have clinical officer specialists, and you know health is collective.
Yes.
You cannot do it alone. It cannot be done by clinical officers alone. Cannot be done by medical officers alone, and it's a collective thing where nurses are brought on board. The issue of even the laboratory, the laboratory officers, medical laboratory officers are brought on board. Public health, so it should be a collective way that if you leave one cadre, then things will not go well.
Yes.
If you leave one cadre, all these cadres are important. Yes.
So you have to collectively work together.
Yes.
We understand you are the president of GACOPA.
Yes.
How can you compare the state of health in Kenya and other countries, the 70 of them?
Yeah.
And how clinical officers are being handled in Kenya and all these other 70 countries, or 69?
First of all, I want to appreciate my viewers. I know this show is being watched from different countries. A majority from Zambia. We've seen people from Malawi, South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda, and very many countries, even in Malaysia, they are watching. So as the president of this international association, we've really brought clinical officers together. And it's an eye-opener because before this association, no one knew that there are clinical officers in Malaysia.
Yeah.
No one knew that there are clinical officers in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, and even in the United Kingdom and the United States, where they take up very many names. We realized that there were more than 30 names that came up. And all these people were doing the same thing. Down in Botswana, where we held our last conference, which was very successful last year, they are called doctor assistants. Yet in the law, they're clinical officers. We also find them in Namibia, Zambia, they're there. So even previously, we held our conference in Malaysia, they are the medical assistants. So we brought them together, and they do the same things. And we want to say that I know Kenya has advanced when it comes to issues of clinical officers. We have our own regulatory body. We have our own union. We have the association, the Giant Association, the KCA. Just like Malaysia, they also have their own union, they have an association. So we are just saying that you cannot wish out a cadre that is found in 70 countries, even Papua New Guinea. Right now, even Puerto Rico did a letter that they want to join GACOPA, and their clinical officers there. United States has got 350,000 more clinical officers, 350,000.
Yes.
And you find that even Nigeria has got almost 100,000 of them. Kenya here, we are 30,000. East Africa alone has got close to 100,000 clinical officers if we include Ethiopia. And I want to report that the initiative of GACOPA has gone deep into even the East African community, where through us, we've initiated the East Africa harmonization of clinical officers. The same training, same license, so that someone from Burundi can easily work in Kenya and vice versa. Someone can work in Uganda. It started 2 weeks ago. Or we had started it several months earlier, but I can now report that 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Cabinet Secretary for Health closed that meeting, and it was opened by the Principal Secretary for Health, for Public Health and Professional Standards, Mary Mudoni, and we are on course to, for the first time, have a unified way of regulating our clinical officers within East Africa, so that they have the same training, they have the same licensing, and we will also be inspecting those facilities in those countries. So meaning this thing has already been accepted in East Africa. So Kenya cannot wish away or cannot throw away a cadre that is already expanding, that people are looking into it. In China, they are called assistant doctors. And I can tell you that there are almost 1 million in China. So you want to wish away a cadre that has got already 1 million of such people in one of the world's leading economy in the name of China. So it is practically impossible. And even in Kenya here, when you see the issues of SHA, those are attempts to tell Kenyans that clinical officers are not there. Most Kenyans know that they are doctors. If you go to that village hospital, that hospital in your village, huyo ni daktari, nimemaliza. Because that person has done well, everything. If it's an ENT clinical officer, those foreign bodies perfectly doing, then the patient will go away and say, hey, that doctor really helped me so much. Not that clinical officer. So this is the time that we really want our identity to be known, so that attempt by things like SHA, where they only allow KMPDC to empanel and to have their members pre-authorized, then at the end of it, after 1 year, when you're told, can you give us the records of who are seeing patients in Kenya? Then all of them are members of the KMPDC. And you saw the governor Mudomi Njuki, and the governor of Nyeri saying that that is fraud. I cannot see a patient, and because I'm not allowed to make a pre-authorization or to sign, I call you to come and sign, yet you've not seen the patient. Or you send your electronic signature online so that I sign for you with your names, then we count it as if you are the one who has seen that patient. At the end of it, if 60 patients are seen by me, and you are the one who has signed you have signed on my behalf, because me, I'm not allowed, then it is you who has seen the patients. At the end of it, I will not be seen anywhere. So those are tactics or attempts by the Director General, who has been openly saying that clinical officers were brought in as a stopgap measure, that there were few doctors. What few doctors is he talking about? Yet it is clinical officers who, the program, the training of clinical officers started before the medical doctors. So it is the medical doctors who were brought in. When the clinical profession had started in 1930s, we already had clinical officers here in Kenya. Uganda, it started in Uganda. It's only that it took time before we changed the name. We came from medical assistant to assistant medical officers, then later on to clinical officers, which is now being accepted globally as we are taking up a term called clinical practitioners. But the clinical officers and physician associates is a name that is now being taken up globally, and we are at it at the WHO.
Interesting.
Yes.
You've just talked about WHO. Before we wind up, Donald Trump, the new president of the United States of America, said the US might, or rather, he might push for US to exit WHO. How is that likely to affect Kenya specifically and African countries who largely depend on WHO for medical assistance?
I think he has even signed that. I saw he signed some those is orders.
Yes.
It's called the executive orders. So he signed, and I've seen somewhere that already US is out of WHO, and he's saying that WHO messed up with the COVID, a lot of things, but we know that that's Donald Trump. But there are structures at WHO. There are countries who are willing to even do double. You've seen China there saying that now they are even willing. Maybe they will take advantage of US withdrawal and even cover up what US were giving. But I think that is just short-lived. We will do another quick one maybe after a year or sometime, because WHO, we can't live without WHO. That is the organ that is really regulating issues, matters health in the world, and it's very hard. Yes.
Interesting. Well, many thanks, Daktari. Just your parting shot right there. What do you think is the future of clinical officers in the country, and how best do you think the union can fight for their demands, considering that most level 1, 2 and 3 are actually run by clinical officers?
My parting shot is, let the government of Kenya, the money is there, let us stop hiring clinical officers or other cadres when there are people who have already, I call it volunteering, because if you pay someone 30,000 and others are being paid 100,000, these people helped during the COVID-19. They are working under UHC. These people have worked for almost 8 years. So you are hiring other people and you're leaving these people, you can't convert them to permanent and pensionable. Please convert them into permanent and pensionable. That is the first thing. The second thing is that our clinical officers stay put until the General Secretary will show you the way. If he decides that we are calling off the strike or suspending, then we will communicate. There are some rumors that we've seen in social media that the Council of Governors have reached an agreement with the union and that the strike has been called off. Even some of my members are calling me, telling me, oh, you've been given, there's one who wrote me a message here telling me that you've been given 2 bottles of Guinness, and that's the way you've called the strike after 1 day. And I told him that was an agreement between Council of Governors and the Ministry of Health over our issues. But as where we stand, we will look at all those parameters, the things we have on the table, and decide. And after that, we will inform our members effectively. Yes.
Interesting. Many thanks, Daktari, for joining us tonight. That has been Dr. Austin Odur Otieno, the National Deputy General Secretary, KUKO, and also the President of GACOPA. He's been helping us understand the state of clinical officer strike and the possibilities of the union suspending the strike. That is if the county governments, led by the chairperson of the Health Committee, that is Muthomi Njuki, Governor Tharaka Nithi County, and the Ministry of Health are able to reach an agreement together with the union and also just address their concerns. Remember, last year they did 99 plus days of strike.
In Kenya, in the world.
Yes. This year they say they will not relent up until their concerns are fully addressed. Well, we all wait to see how that goes. Remember, they are the primary health providers, and we do hope the government will be able to address their concerns. My name is Sammy Adika, and our sign language interpreter has been the amazing Boniface Mureithi. Do have a wonderful night. Goodbye.